Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Mason. Welcome back for everyone who is already a subscriber to the channel. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now with one half of the main event of the newly announced 247 Fighting Championship Brawl in the Burgh 21.5 event. Can't wait to jump into what's going on with that June 29th at the Burgh Convention Center. But this is one half of your main event. Can't wait to hear what this interview is going to be like. Welcome back to the show, former amateur featherweight champ for 247, and already a fan favorite with a 1-0 pro record is Lucas the Sniper Seibert. Lucas, champ, welcome to the show, sir.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Always great having you on. Tell me a little bit about how this all came together. It was earlier today, 247 announced on their Facebook page that not only were they doing a second event, Brawl in the Burgh 21.5 at Monroeville Convention Center due to Brawl in the Burgh 22 being such a big deal. When did you know about this? They announced it today, and they also announced that you're the main event. Let's jump into it.
As far as like the main event stuff, that was kind of like happened over the last like week or so. Obviously I was scheduled to fight June 29th from the jump. I was supposed to fight Gavin. He got in an accident, and it seems like he's doing okay. Got in like a motorcycle accident, but he had to pull from the fight. We were like really concerned originally when it happened, and he's doing good on that end, so prayers out that way and just full recovery. But so since then, that happened a month ago probably at this point. We've been trying to find me a fight, and it's been rough. Got denied by like probably 30-40 people. Bantamweights could not get a fight. And obviously like we got to a point where we weren't even being super selective as you would want to be for like your second fight. And it was rough. And then I was like, all right, well, let's see if anybody at featherweight wants to fight. And they sent me this name, and it lined up perfect. I thought it was a good matchup, good fight for me, and a challenge up a weight class, and I accepted the fight.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Your opponent is Nathaniel Grubham, if I'm saying that right, and he is 6-2 as an amateur, with one pro fight. Looks to be, from the picture I found on Topology, looks to be sort of a powerfully built guy for 145 from the picture I saw. That can be deceiving. What was it like, before we get into this fight specifically, what was it like continuing to train? I know you're a mindset guy. We've talked a lot. You have a degree in sports psychology from WVU, first person in your family to graduate from university. You're still very proud of that. Only 2 years removed from college, right? You graduated from college 2 years ago?
Yeah, I would have graduated from college 2 years almost to the
right now. Right. So mentally, how was it after the pullout, obviously accident? We want Gavin to fully recover. That's a scary thing all around. How was it like mentally continuing to train, wanting to be on the June 29th card, but then having all those rejections? Mentally, how do you tune that out and continue to train?
Honestly, like it can be tough. I've been battling with some, just injury bugs and stuff. So we kind of took that time, to kind of like settle down the training and not like jumping fully into camp. We didn't have an opponent. It was kind of useless to jump in when I could rest my body. We did me and Anthony Hogeback had a trip scheduled. We went on a training trip to Arizona, and at Tim Welch's gym, and a little bit at the MMA lab out in Phoenix. So, just like finding new environments to kind of like, make this game can kind of become a little bit you know, it becomes like Groundhog Day every once in a while. So finding some new you know, environments to train, some new people to train with is always a good idea. So I think that was something that really kept me motivated. And then also just like, you know, I'm a professional at this point, so like it's my job to be ready to fight. So, you know, staying ready and mentally is probably the hardest part, but I'm always physically ready. I think at any point I could take a fight on 3 or 4 weeks notice and be game. I've never had that happen, but if it ever does, I'll be ready.
Great. Thanks for sharing about the mindset. The mental game is part of the game. You know, some people say, oh, I mean, that is part of being a professional athlete is being ready. I've often thought, you know, the MMA world doesn't have this. I've often thought Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, whatever it is, they have a benefit of having a schedule that's set out a year in advance. It's going to happen. Even if they get injured, the schedule keeps moving and then they have to come back. Whereas in fighting, it's so independent on you, so based on you, that things change a lot like this. You know, something gets thrown off, there's no schedule, there's no guarantee. You mentioned being a professional. I've had you on. You've been very kind with your time, both before and after your pro debut fight versus Jake Zach. For you, obviously that fight went incredibly well, knockout. Probably made it harder for you to get this second fight at bantamweight because fighters don't necessarily want to fight a guy who's 6-0, 1-0 as a pro with a great knockout and 5-0 as an amateur. But mentally, do you have any idea if momentum's real? Obviously, you've been in 2 years. You went from being a college Division I wrestler to training MMA to fighting in your first 3 months of training, all those things. Do you feel like you've got momentum, or do you try to reset each and every fight camp? How does that work for you?
That's a good question. I think momentum's real. I did take like a little bit of a break. So I fought Cam. For my last Amy fight would have been July, and I didn't make my pro debut until February. Um, so I think my amateur career had a lot of momentum in it. And then, you know, I think there was like a little bit of a reset there, and you've run the momentum now. Um, I don't know if it's necessarily momentum or if it's just like taking fights and winning them.
Mm.
But I think like, you know, that taking like long layoffs isn't necessarily helpful. Like, but you know, sometimes you have to, sometimes, you know, people get burnt out or whatever it is. And you know, I don't necessarily believe in momentum in that aspect. I think like in a particular fight, it could be like momentum, but I don't think, you know, in a career, um, you know, but then I look at people like Patton. Like I do think
Mm.
Patton's kind of has momentum going, but I maybe his skills just caught up to, you know, where his record is. You know what I mean? So, I you know.
Yeah. And it's case by case. Great answer. Always love having you talk because you're obviously athletically very talented, but that's an earned talent. You've worked very hard. You've been on this show. People should go back. I think maybe this is pushing your sixth or seventh time, maybe even more. You've been on a bunch, and we talked early in your career about how, you know, Division I, you were a walk on. You had to push yourself. You weren't necessarily that stud high school wrestling athlete that had a ton of Division I offers. And I think there's an aspect of athleticism that is genetics, but there's also an aspect of athleticism that's effort and training. So you've got a great combination of both of those. Let's talk about your opponent specifically. I already mentioned his 6-2 amateur career, so a guy that took time to develop, similar to you, took time to develop. Nathaniel Grubham, he's known to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. Where are you? I think are you still blue? Where are you at your Jiu-Jitsu level? And how do you think you match up Jiu-Jitsu versus Jiu-Jitsu? And does it matter because you're an MMA fight? Talk to me a little bit about this matchup.
So I was given the information that he's a brown belt today.
Yeah.
No, don't necessarily care too much. I am a Mike Wilkins blue belt, so that holds a higher grade.
Yeah.
Even in the IBJJF ranks, they put it a tier above, just like a regular blue belt. So yeah, I mean, I think that as far as grappling and stuff, I'm done it longer than him.
Hmm.
I wrestled my
Yeah.
entire life. I wrestled at the Division 1 level. I compete with brown belts, black belts every day in the practice room, so I'm not too worried about it. Also, I can punch him in the face, so
Yeah.
that and elbow him now. So I think that adds a little wrinkle in the just being a strictly grappling match. But I think I would win a strictly grappling match as well. I'm pretty confident in my grappling overall, especially like no gi stuff. So
Hmm.
I think it would be, I like I don't know, I'm not too worried about his brown belt.
I mean, it makes perfect sense given the MMA rules. People need to go and get the 247 Live app and become a subscriber to 247 Live in order to see the entire catalog of not only Lucas's fights, a lot of your fights have been within 247, but also every 247 fight ever. And I'm building this up to say that you had an incredible jumping knee, flying knee into the face of Jake Zach. And the reality is the pro rules, I think, suit everybody at pros. You should learn what the pro rules are and be good at them. But with your frame, the elbows, the knees, the head kicks, those type things, which we knew you had as amateur, you just couldn't use them. But you obviously showed them off. I remember a head kick against Jake Zach and obviously the knee and ground and pound. How well do you feel like you're just going to continue to develop the pro side, particularly against somebody, and there's no shame in his game plan. If it is to take you to the ground, it might be to stand and bang, who knows? But if somebody's game plan is grappling heavy against you with your grappling experience and your striking, how well do you think that sets up your pro striking?
I think that if I decide to take it to the ground, I can take it to the ground. I think if he wants to grapple, then I'll do whatever I want to do. Probably allow it. And if he wants to strike, I'm game to do that too. I want a tough fight. I think this is a good opportunity for me to have like a banger of a fight. And as far as the pro rule set, I think one thing is like at my gym, we start training the pro rule set pretty early on in our career. Um, we have elbows in our beginner or fundamental stuff that I teach every Monday in our Monroeville location. We have the exact same knee that I landed. We teach that at fundamentals. So the rule set and stuff like that, I think one, I'm used to, I've been training it, and two, it just allows my creativity to just like be fully expressed. And I think that is really what is the big difference, is like I kind of got my training wheels off and I can do whatever I want. And that was like the most enticing thing of going pro to me, because I knew it would just allow me to get in there. And I've seen people transition to pro and like not know when to throw an elbow and stuff like that. And I clearly didn't have a problem with that in my fight. So I think that, that might be, you know, kind of my answer is just like being able to do whatever I want and just being able to like have a creative approach with the professional rule set.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a little bit of that when you were an amateur. You're creative how you enter the cage. You're very flowy as you move. Those type of things are good, but obviously the pro rule set allows you to be creative in what you can actually throw. Uh, with you teaching the beginning class at Monroeville, do you call the knee that you used as a knockout setup knee? Do you call that a jumping knee or a flying knee? And is there a difference? I think we call both, but I want to get it from you since you said that's a knee you teach all the time.
We actually call it something different, but I'm not gonna
Okay,
tell you. We had a code for it
fair enough. Yeah,
for
don't.
my
Yeah.
for my fight. In our classes, it's referred to as a shot killer. And that's basically like if somebody shoots in
Right.
for the time.
Yep. Sure.
So when I landed, I thought Jake was gonna shoot, and he didn't. I guess I jumped high enough.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just it's a regular knee. It's nothing like super special, but like teaching people that, you know, learning the finer details of teaching. I think that's something that's improved my ability a lot. Right, I teach kids 9 classes a week, and then I teach adults for one class, that striking class. So, you know, I think like being able to like explain to a child
Oh
the,
yeah.
you know, keys of striking, jujitsu, and whatever, is something that's made me more well-rounded, as well. And you know, speaking of that, this day card is a really cool thing because I teach kids classes in Monroeville. I teach them in the Strip as well as we have 2 other locations, and it's big to me for the kids being able to come to the fight. So we're going to try to integrate a way that all the stout kids can participate in my fight, kind of participate in whether it be the walkout or whatever, and give them a fun time too. So, you know, we're trying to get creative with that, but you know, I think just you know, overall enjoying it and loving this sport, loving giving back and learning along the way. I think one thing with my career is like, you know, I've gone like, and everybody's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like as I've gone and I've clearly like learned more, it's kind of like people are going along with it, and I'm learning along the way. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just, you know, kind of winging it.
Well, that is really exciting about it being a noon card. I think we talked about that at the top, that this is Brawl in the Burgh 21 and a half, situated right between Brawl in the Burgh 21 and 22 later that night. But a noon kickoff time, noon start time, first bell, noon is great for kids. You're right, because a 7 o'clock opening bell time, by the time you're at the main event, if that, it's around 11, obviously too late for most kids. So I know Kama, the Death Star Worthy, always talks about his little ninjas, because he teaches a lot of kids class running his own gym. Do you have a cool name for the kids that you teach?
I might have to. I might have to come up with something. Maybe we'll come up with something.
The Stoutites, the Stoutalites,
Oh,
the
it's Stoutites. I don't know.
Stoutites. Who knows?
I don't think I could spell it, so that's important. Um,
Yeah,
but we'll figure out something cool. We call them little superheroes, the little superheroes class, something like that.
there you go.
But yeah, another thing about not fighting June 29th at night is not having to compete with Conor McGregor. Yeah, so
Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler is that
that
night. So yeah, yeah,
that you know, that's another thing. When I was kind of given the option on which card to go to, I was like, well, you know, I can, you know, integrate. All my kids can, you know, come and watch me fight, and you know, people, I can watch the Conor McGregor fight too. Like, you know, I think that's a cool little wrinkle, and it worked out really well for me.
yeah, yeah. And obviously that evening card, the 22 card, is jam packed. It's a great card
Oh,
with
can't wait.
Kama on it. And Justin, you already mentioned Patton and his
Yeah,
development. And yeah,
definitely watching. Definitely going to be watching that. I know there's a lot of pro fights in it, but obviously rooting for the Pittsburgh boys more than anything.
well, let's get to predictions. You've been known at times to give predictions, sometimes you won't. It's completely up to you. What are your thoughts if you're going to give a prediction on your main event, your first main event as a pro for sure? And what does that feel like being the main event? And then what's your prediction against Nathaniel? June 29th, the noon card. So you might be fighting around 1:30 or 2, depending on how it all pans out. What's your prediction for that?
Um, I think that, you know, I'm gonna outclass. I think I'm gonna prove, you know, that I'm better than, you know, people think. I that's constantly been my thing. I feel like I just have a chip on my shoulder. Maybe I make up what people say about me at this point, but no, no. I mean, people are pretty vocal, but I think I think, you know, I'm just gonna go out, be myself, and that'll end up, you know, get me a win. I think I'm better in all aspects of the game. I think it's going to be, my fight, and I will dictate what goes on in the fight. Not to say there won't be hiccups during it, because I know there will, but I'm gonna dictate how it goes and ultimately end up victorious. And being the main event, sick. Love it. Uh, I said a lot. Like, I feel like I'm the main event every time I fight, and that's because the people that bought my tickets are there to see me. So I am the main event in my friends and family's eyes. So, and I'm the main event in my own eyes. So I'm just the last fight on the card this time. So I think it'll be cool, man. I love the day card. I think in general that's actually a really cool idea. I think day cards are kind of dope, especially like not having to stay out as late. But I'm really excited. Fighting up a weight class, get to eat a little bit. A lot of good things for me going on.
There is. There is. I was going to end it there, but you just mentioned the weight class. You fought one time that I know of as an amateur at 145 against Cam the Mole Rat Algar. That could have been a bantamweight fight, ended up being a featherweight fight. Did you learn how kind of your body functions at featherweight from that fight? Ended up being a great fight for you. Does it give you more confidence knowing? Because sometimes fighters have to kind of relearn their body at different weight classes. How does that kind of play into this at featherweight?
I think that it doesn't matter at all. I think that if we were sparring in the training room, that we wouldn't step on a scale before. I think we are relatively close to the same size, and anybody that is relatively close to the same size as me, I'm game to fight. I think that that's just how it works. I think that, it is what it is. I don't have to, do as much stuff. I can just focus on, being me, being better, and just going out and doing my thing on June 29th.
June 29th, Brawl in the Burgh, 21.5. Get your tickets now. For in person would be 247fighting.com. Select the main event fighter, Lucas, the sniper Seibert, for him to get credit. Pay-per-view, if this video gets seen by people outside the Pittsburgh area, which I'm sure it will. Pay-per-view is 247 Live app. Download the app on whatever smart device you have to get the pay-per-view for 21.5. Also 22 will also be a great card. But for this interview, 21.5, June 29th, it's really cool because this event was never supposed to be at Monroeville Convention Center, because Monroeville Convention Center was supposed to be closed and turned into a Hobby Lobby, and that was
Yeah.
changed politically. And 247 is super pumped to be back there, not only because the tickets sold so much, but now to be able to have two events, which we've done a two-event, same-day event previously in the past at Monroeville Convention Center due to COVID, when sizes were restricted on how many people you could have. The commissioner allowed back-to-back events on the same day, May, I think it was 2021 range. And it was a great thing, of course, to have no restrictions on the size of the crowd you're going to bring in. The crowd the night evening guys are going to bring in, I think, will be the best events Monroeville has ever hosted. So super great always to have you back on. Best skills to you and everyone fighting on both cards now. Brawl in the Burgh 21.5, Brawl in the Burgh 22 for 247 Fighting Championship. Special thanks for Lucas, the sniper Seibert, for joining me, Luke Payson, on MMA Fancast today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. I just want to give like quick shout out to my sponsors and stuff. I have a lot for this fight that, I've done a lot for me and helped me like get to this professional range. So, Clean Eats, I work actually at the Clean Eats location in Fox Chapel. It's a meal prep company. If you wanna catch me working there, if you guys are interested in meal preps, I have a discount code for 20% off of meal plan orders. David Allen Clothing Company helped me out. Cranston IT, who's Patrick Cranston, who trains at Stout's Gym. Dark Star Gear, and then my buddy Ernie Perez helped me out a ton for this fight. So just special thanks to all my sponsors. Make this professional fighting thing worth it, and possible, right? Because, we're at the regional level now. So, that and selling tickets. So everybody hit me up if you want a ticket. Westerville, we got a huge thing. I was born and raised in Westerville, Ohio, right outside of Columbus. We got a huge announcement coming up this week that's gonna get a lot of people from Westerville wanting to come over, and I'll be able to sell some hometown tickets. So it might be there might be a little bit of Ohio flavor in that Pennsylvania crowd as well. So just excited, grateful for the opportunity to fight every time, and grateful to come on the show and kick it with you all the time too, Luke.
Always a pleasure to have you on, buddy. And I'm glad. I've said this a bunch with you on and others. It really is an honor for me not only to have fighters on, but be able to give time for the sponsors, whether it's amateur or pro. Sponsors at any level, but particularly this level, is literally the difference between somebody being able to train or not train. I mean, there's been fighters that, for whatever reason, didn't get sponsorships worked out and had to go in different directions. So really a big thanks to me for all the sponsors, because it makes a difference. It's really important. You have a discount code so people can reach out, get that from you. Is that something you want to shout out now, or just them reach out to you for the discount code?
Yeah, Lucas20 for Clean Eats. I also Underdog clothing brand sponsor me. The Closet is also sponsoring me. It's a vintage store. That I believe is just Lucas. So we're gonna work on some stuff. I don't know if we're gonna have it for this fight or the next fight, but there's definitely gonna be some gear dropping, possibly, right after I fight is my thought process. So keep an eye out for that. And then the Clean Eat stuff, that's promo code Lucas20, and you can get a discount code on all the meals for meal prep services and whatnot.
That's great because of the 20% discount, and also allows them, Clean Eats where you work, to know that you're driving people to them, which is exciting. And even if you don't have a discount, if you heard one of Lucas the Sniper Seibert's sponsors and you want to give them support, you want to hire them, use them for whatever they're the IT solution guy, whatever it ends up being, make sure you let them know that you heard about it through Lucas, because that just helps everybody know kind of the support you're bringing. Can't wait to see on social media. You're a fun guy to follow on social media. Can't wait to see the big announcement about the Westerville, Ohio people. I'm a Pennsylvania guy, but I'll say OHIO just with everybody, because I think it's a great comedy response. Pennsylvania needs to make a cool slogan where we can, shout back and forth, but I guess we're just not as cool as the Ohioans. But can't wait to see kind of what that is for Westerville, and also what type of Ohio flavor in the Monroeville crowd there will be. We've talked about it before. Stout, when you walk out to Stout, there's always an excitement in the crowd when you represent Stout as the local guy. That goes for a lot of the local gyms as well. Obviously, the Mat Factory and the Academy and some of the other ones, Gorilla House. But it's just a special time. If people have never been to a live MMA fight, I know that the day competes with Conor McGregor, but I think there's nothing like a live MMA fight compared to a pay-per-view on a screen. Come to it. If you can do both events, I think a back-to-back will be great. If you've got to choose, Lucas has made his case for the day. I think there are a lot of advantages for the day card. I think that's pumped. They're called matinees, and I think they're exciting.
Hey, you can buy the pay-per-view on your phone and watch the night card too. I'm just saying. Like you can buy the pay-per-view for Conor and watch the night card for 247 and be there. That would be my recommendation. You'll probably get out in time to catch it anyway.
Oh yeah, because it'll go.
But you gotta choose. Come to my fight.
Of course, and that's how you should be for promotion. Of course, really great having you on. Can't wait. There's going to be a ton of videos on the MMA Fancast channel covering, because there's now 2 events. A lot of videos. I've already done 3 or 4 now with Lucas taking time. So be following, subscribe to the channel so you can see more interviews. We're going to cover a lot of 247 and other regional shows, local shows, but a lot going into June 29th. Thanks so much, champ, for coming on. Can't wait to see you live in action June 29th. Thanks a lot.
Yep, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Got it.